Howdy folks, it's your old pal Gas Mask Reader here with another review. This time I'm talking about the Hillbilly Moonshine Massacre by Jonathan Raab. I first heard about this book when it was one of the sponsors for my favorite horror podcast, The Horror Show with Brian Keene. I think it was just last week's episode. And, they advertised it as being weird and full of Fortean phenomena, UFOs, conspiracy theories, occultism, cannibalistic hillbillies going on rampages, and with a Gonzo sort of aesthetic. That's Gonzo is in Hunter S. Thompson, not Gonzo is in the Muppet. Though I like the Muppet too, they're both pretty good. Yeah. And really, I thought that sounded like a really good idea. And then, when I went on Amazon and looked it up and read the description, I knew it was something I was going to want to read. And I'm going to read you the description from Amazon because I think it's a really well-written description. When the arrest of known moonshiner and possible alien abductee, Larry, Bucky Green goes south, several cops are left dead, and Bucky goes on the run. His latest batch of moonshine is driving the locals mad. Literally. Anyone who drinks it falls victim to some terrible form of mind control. They start tearing each other apart and building strange altars to forgotten gods. Strange lights in the sky, mob violence, militarized police, creatures from beyond time and space, and sinister government agencies descend on the idyllic autumn countryside, sowing chaos and terror in their wake. Only the paranoid Sheriff Cecil Kodo, who also happens to be the host of a popular conspiracy theory radio show, has any clue about the truth behind it all. He recruits a new deputy and joins forces with an ambitious public access television reporter to track down Bucky and stop the apocalypse from kicking off. Who's behind the evil of the age? FEMA, the Illuminati, reptilians, aliens, the Red Cross, secret societies, the DHS, the CIA, the EPA, the Council on Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission. Only Sheriff Kodo and his team can find out. Only they can stop the Hillbilly Moonshine Massacre. Okay, now that, to me at least, that sounded really, really cool. Now let's give a quick reading so you can see what the writing style sounds like. Larry Bucky Green was a two-bit moonshiner with a rap sheet as long as a summer afternoon. Petty larceny, public drunkenness, public urination, illegal discharge of a firearm, and various other typical good old country boy degenerate activities. There was one instance of felony assault, charges later dropped, in that thick folder of his, but if anyone bothered to ask Sergeant Joe Johnson of the New York State Police, the guy on the bad end of that particular ass beating probably deserved it. But then again, nobody ever bothered to ask Johnson. This was his turf, supposedly, the deep hills and back roads of central Cattaraugus County, New York, populated by farmers and old houses, hillbillies and rural folk in single and double-wide trailers, and effete ski freaks, tourists mostly, slumming it up with the locals in faux rustic mansions scattered among the foreboding forested hills. Rumor was, even famed four-time Super Bowl losing quarterback Jim Kelly had himself a big cabin out this way. The guy may not have had a ring, but he sure as hell had money. Okay, now, that was actually fairly well written, too. Starts off a little slow, at least the beginning of the chapter. The end of that first chapter, which is what that's from, it literally ends with a bang, because when the police attempt to capture Bucky, his trailer explodes. I don't know if it's the still or what, but something goes boom, kills a bunch of cops, and Bucky gets away. And that leads to the plot. The state police are crawling all over the county, trying to capture him, basically acting like Nazi stormtroopers, which, based on the kinds of things that are going on today, is certainly not something that would be completely unexpected. And anyway, about that time, Sergeant Abraham Richards, who is, an Army sergeant, has been he's done in the Army. I forget what the word is for that. And he's come back home and just basically don't know what to do with his life. And one night he gets drunk while listening to a radio show hosted by Sheriff Cecil Cotto. And in a drunken stupor, fills out an online application for deputy and gets the job. So, basically he and the sheriff do a lot of weird training and stuff. Then they finally get a call about a riot in a small nearby town, which of course is caused by the crazy moonshine, and they nearly get killed, and then things just get even weirder. I mean, there's drug trips, there's, like I said, cannibalism, there's secret government conspiracies, there's UFOs. Bigfoot even makes a brief appearance at one point, so that's more of a side thing, doesn't have anything to do with the main story. But yeah, this is a weird story, and I loved it. I mean, seriously, it's not the greatest book I've ever read, not even the greatest book I've read this year, but it's a really good book. I only had one real problem with it, and that's right after the part where the sheriff and the deputy nearly get killed that I was just talking about. They get rescued by an old friend and who's working for the FBI now, who hands them the secret files that tell you Bucky's backstory, and then we get like 3 or 4 chapters of his backstory cutting right in the middle of the action. Basically, it's just slowing down the forward momentum of the story because it goes from escaping from cannibal hillbillies to a guy being worried that he's going to be abducted by UFOs and getting abducted by UFOs, and then meeting a man in black, and it's just that section was kind of out of place there. It would have been better off either earlier in the story or summarized or condensed to be a lot shorter, because that just kind of dragged everything down. But other than that, it was a really great book. Definitely something I enjoyed reading a lot. Something I really wish that the author would write sequels to, because frankly, Sheriff Cotto is the kind of character that would be really good for it. In fact, it's pretty easy to tell from reading it that he is based off of Hunter S. Thompson fairly strongly. It seems like if Hunter S. Thompson had actually gotten elected sheriff like he wanted to, and had been interested in UFOs and secret occult conspiracies and all that stuff, he probably would have been a lot like this guy. I mean, wouldn't have been exactly the same, but you know what I mean. This is definitely a good book, and I enjoyed it. I think you would too. If you like horror, you're interested in Fortean phenomenon or conspiracy theories or just general weirdness, you should give this book a try. Especially if you have a Kindle, because it's still only 99 cents on the Kindle as of me recording it, so hopefully you can get it for 99 cents before the price goes up, which I'm sure it will eventually. So keep reading and find lots of good books. I need to find a catchphrase. Hopefully I'll think of a good one and use it in the next video. Bye!
If you like this video, please click subscribe or watch some of my older videos. If you think the book I reviewed sounds interesting, buy a copy. There are always links to the Amazon store in the description for this book and any other books I mentioned. If you have any suggestions on other books I could read, or any other comments, queries, insults, or anything else you want to say, please feel free to mention it in the comments section.